started. So when it's done, I'd be happy to, I guess, send you guys a link to it, maybe?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the part, we're just starting the recording right now, though, so you're not going to, unfortunately, see the part that we just went over. But the next question is this.
I already know that part.
Oh, good, good. Okay. Debbie, let me ask you, are you a salon or a spa or both?
Salon.
Okay, and Latasha, are you a salon or a spa or both?
Salon.
Okay, then you know what? We're going to skip the part where we add rooms and equipment. You know why? Because that's for spas. So we can skip that altogether. We don't need to add rooms and equipment.
Okay.
So we're going to go, now that we've entered all of our people, so the first thing you do is add all of your people and their schedules. And once you've done that, you can press done. Now you've entered all of your staff. The next thing we do is we set up our groups and services. So we go once again to setup, and then from setup, we go to our salon and spa services, or whatever it may be called in your end. But it's going to say something similar to that. Okay, now I've already got a whole bunch of groups created. But when you first have the software, you have none. So how do you create a group? It's really, really simple. I'm going to create a group called Doria. D-O-R-I-A. I type in the group name under the group field, and I hit enter. That's it. I just created a group. It's that simple. And now that's part of my drop-down list. I've got all of these different groups, including Doria. It's been added. Now that I have created a group, I'm going to create services that fall within that group. So these, you know, like for instance, you'll notice in my hair group, I've got things like anti-curl, and anti-curl with blow dry, and anti-curl with women's haircut, and bang trim, and I don't even know what a BB is with Single Pro, and a blow dry, and a blow dry and curl, and oh, Brazilian blowout, that's what that is. So that's a Brazilian blowout with single process. So this is Brazilian blowout, cap highlights, color one step, etc. I've got all of these different things. These are the different services that you put under a particular group. These are the ones I put under my hair group. So I'm going to go to my Doria group, and I'm going to add my first Doria service. And I'm going to just call it Doria 30. Enter. So here's my Doria 30, whatever it is, I don't know. And I'm going to give it a price. Notice, when I type in Doria 30, I hit enter on my keyboard. And when I do that, it will drop the name into the box below and put it in blue on the right. So now that I've created the name of a service, I'm going to define my service. And I do that by first giving it a price. So I'm going to say my Doria services are going to, my Doria 30, excuse me, is going to be $30. So Doria 30 is $30. And then I go to my times. And I've got single, double, and triple times here. We're going to talk about each one, but this one is a single. And what a single means is that you're with the person the entire time. The provider, whoever the provider is with the customer the entire time, like a haircut or a bang trim. They're with them the whole time. Now I'm going to choose my total time, and I'm going to say it is 30 minutes. So I use my little right arrow here to add 15 minutes at a time, or use my left arrow to remove 15 minutes at a time. So I'm going to click on this, create 30 minutes as a single, meaning there is one block of time here for 30 minutes. So price, time, and then I don't have to worry about rooms because I'm not a spa. I don't have to worry about equipment because I'm not a spa. The next thing is cleanup. Do I require my staff member to clean up their area before they move on to their next customer, or do I have somebody doing it for them? If I have somebody doing it for them, I don't need to go to cleanup. I can just hit save, and I'm done with this service. Or if I say, no, they do have to clean up their area, I go to cleanup, and I can say block my provider for an additional 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, however long it takes to clean up. For the Doria 30, I'm going to say there is no time. So I'm just going to put in a price, a time, and save. And when you see the word saved appear in red, you know that the Doria 30 exists and it has been defined. So we've added successfully a service to our Doria group. Now I'm going to add another service. So I'm going to click right back here again. Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, as far as pricing, The arrow portion where it says price, you have $30, and then it's an arrow. What's that scale for? Because I was trying to input some prices for my services.
Yeah, the arrow you don't want to use. You don't want to use the arrow. The arrow just puts in, as you can see, $10 at a time. And clicking on it.
Okay.
There's no need for you to do that. You can just type in the amount. Yeah.
Right.
So,
I just didn't know if it was a fluctuating thing or.
Nope.
Okay.
The arrow just adds.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm going to go here.
Another question.
One
more question about what if you put a salon service, but you don't want any time, like, so you can do your appointment book the way you want. You just keep it 0, like single.
You cannot have a time as 0 because then you can't book it on your appointment book. So 15 minutes would be the minimum amount of time that you would require for a service.
Okay. 15 minutes. Okay.
Okay. So now I'm going to go here to my Doria 30, and I'm going to type a new service in. I'm going to call this my Doria 90, and enter. So here's my Doria 90 service, whatever it is. And I'm going to say my price for this is $100. Then I go to my times, and I'm going to say it's 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. Okay, now wait a minute. This time we're not going to do a single. This time we're going to do a double. So what is a double? You guys, because you work in salons, you know what a single process is. That means that you've got a time that you're with your customer, and then you've got a processing time that you get to walk away from your customer. And then you've got more time that you come back and finish the job. That's what a double is. So the first thing I do is I choose the total amount of time that my customer is going to be in the chair. So for this one, I've said it's an hour and a half. Then I have my application time. I'm going to say that when I do a Doria 90, normally it takes 30 minutes to apply the chemical. Then I've got my processing time. How long does the customer process? This is when I get to walk away from them and do something else, like a haircut or something, or a bang trim on somebody else. That's my processing time. And I'm going to say that's also a half hour. So now I said my total time was an hour and a half, though, and I've only used up an hour. Half hour for application, half hour for processing. Because I said my total time was an hour and a half, I have an additional 30 minutes remaining. That's my finish time. Whatever time you have remaining is going to be your finish time. So a double allows you to have 2 times with the customer with a gap in between. That's what a double is. So you can think of a double as like a single process. Because this works in spas as well and other things as well, we don't actually call it a single process. We call it a double because we don't want you to confuse a single with a single process. Remember, a single means that you're with them for one time, the whole time, whereas a double, you're with them twice with a gap in between. So I set my price, I set my time. This time I'm going to add 15 minutes of cleanup to my operator and save. I'm going to make another service now. I'm going to go right back here, and I'm going to type in a brand new service. This one is going to be my Doria 2.5. Enter, Doria 2.5. And my price is going to be, let's say it's going to be $200. And my time, I'm going to say my total time is 2.5 hours. Now this time, instead of a double, I'm going to make it a triple. A triple, in salon terms, is known as a double process because you've got 2 different processing times. But we call it a triple because you've got 3 times that you are with the customer. So I said my total time was 2.5 hours. My first application, I'll say, is a half hour. My first processing is a half hour. My second application is a half hour. My second processing is a half hour. So I've used up 2 hours here. That leaves me with 30 minutes to finish. So this is what my triple looks like. 3 times with the customer, 2 times that they are processing, that I am away from them. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
And I'm going to go to my cleanup, and I'm going to add another 15 minutes for my operator there, and save. I have now created a group, and I have added services to that group, and I have given them prices and times and determined whether or not my staff member is doing the cleanup or if I've got people who are doing it for them. Now that I have done that, I don't have anybody that works in this group. Nobody works in it. So I can't book appointments for it yet. I need to choose people that work in it. So I'm going to say that Kathy works in this group, and Debbie works in this group, and you know what, Christian works in this group. And I'm also going to say that, you know what, we just added Latasha, so I'm going to say Latasha works in that group, and so does Melinda, and save. So now that I have created a group and I have assigned people to it, when I go to my appointment book, if I choose the Doria group, I'm going to see all of those people so that I can book appointments for them. We are about to go to the appointment book. Do you have any questions on creating groups and services?
No.
Okay.
I do.
Go ahead.
I just want to get a good understanding as far as like when I'm setting up my group, as far as like when I'm setting appointments. What we do in our salon, we don't go by time. So if I put 15 minutes in, it's going to let me book every 15 minutes, or how does it?
It's going to let you book every 15 minutes. Yeah,
okay.
It sure is.
Right.
You know what? Let's just go ahead and add one more here.
I'm trying to figure out, making sure I understand that part, because that was my biggest thing as long as I've been having this software, trying to figure out my appointment book, because we don't book by that, you know, that
sure,
time
I understand.
frame thing. We just really have a more open book, so we like to put our clients where we want, and I don't want to be locked into not being able to put a person down.
Okay, well, you don't have to be locked in anyway. I can show you that in just a minute. But I'm going to create another one here called Doria 15 Min, and enter. And I'm going to say that this is $25, and my time is going to be 15 minutes, and it's a single, and save. Done. Now, let's take a look. Let's go to our appointment book. And I've got all of my people showing because I'm in all groups. If I change my group to Doria, now I've got Kathy, Christian, Debbie, Latasha, and Melinda. Nobody else. So these are the people that I said work in that group. And if I chose anybody else that worked in that group, and they're not on my screen, that just means they don't work today. Like you can see, Latasha's only here for 2 hours. Okay, so now I'm going to choose my client. How do I do that? I've got 2 different ways to choose a customer. I can left-click to pull up a customer that's already in my database. So I can click on H and hit select, and everybody whose last name starts with H is going to appear. So I say Shelly Habecker, and now I'm ready to book an appointment for her. But I could also do this. Let me clear that. I can type in HAB, enter, and everybody whose last name starts with HAB is going to come up, and there's Shelly Habecker. So I could pull her up that way as well, just a little bit of a shortcut. Now, what if they're not in my database, and I want to add somebody new? I'm going to add somebody called Debbie Doria right now. And I'm going to do that by going to that same button. But notice when I put my mouse there, there's a little toolbar that says click for client lookup, right-click to add a new client. Remember, if I click it, I get to look up a customer. If I right-click it, I get to add somebody brand new. So I'm going to add Debbie Doria. Debbie, forgive me if I spelled your name wrong. And going to go ahead. Now, I can take additional information. And I can hit more and take a lot more information. But if I just got to get this in quick, I'm just going to hit Add Now. There's Debbie Doria. I'm in my Doria group, and I'm going to choose my service. The first service I'm going to choose is a Doria 30. And now I can go down to Christian here at 10 o'clock. So under Christian's name, next to the 10 o'clock, that's this field right here, I'm going to left-click to block out the time. I'm going to right-click to choose what type of customer they are. They asked for Christian, they're a request. They don't care who they see, they're a no type, etc. I'm going to say request. That appointment is booked. Debbie Doria has been booked for a Doria 30 with Christian at 10 o'clock. We're going to do it again. This time I'm going to left click, hit S, choose Pedro here. When booking color for Pedro, be sure to add an additional 15 minutes. Oh, good to know. Okay. All right, so I've got Pedro here. And I'm going to choose a different service. I'm going to choose a Doria 90. And I'm going to book that with Kathy at 11 o'clock. Left-click to block out my time. Right-click to choose what type of customer they are. And done. Notice this one looks a little bit different. This one's got a gap time. There is this opening that I could put another appointment in if I wanted to. So Pedro Saavedra here is getting a Doria 90, and there's 15 minutes of cleanup for Kathy too, so it's not just taking her an hour and a half, it's taking her an hour and 45 minutes. Pedro is done in an hour and a half, but Kathy's not done for an hour and 45 minutes because she's got that additional cleanup time. Her next available appointment time is at 12:45. So let's do it again. This time I'm going to choose Kim Raber here, and I'm going to choose my Doria 2.5. I'm going to book that with Debbie at 10 o'clock. Left click to block out my time. Right click to choose what type of customer they are. And notice this one has got 2 openings, 2 gaps. This is a double process. And my final cleanup here as well. Lastly, we're going to do it again. This time I'm going to choose, we'll go with Kathy here, and I'm going to choose a Doria 15-minute. I'm going to book that with Latasha at 10 o'clock. And notice, 15 minutes. Now, there's also cleanup time here. We didn't have to have that, Latasha. You could set that service up without a cleanup, and then it would just be that 15-minute block would be the only thing that is actually showing. Okay, so now, but I want to show you something else too. Let's say that I've got this appointment here, and I want to book a Doria 15. In fact, you know what? The 15 minutes shouldn't have a cleanup time on it, so let's just change that really quick. Let's go to my Doria group. There we go. Doria 15. Go to my cleanup and remove that. Save. There we go. All right, let's try that again. Doria, client. We'll choose Katya here, and I'm going to go with a Doria 15, and I'm going to book that right smack dab in the middle of Kathy's appointment at 11:30. And there it is. Katya Pacheco is now booked for 15 minutes right in the middle of that appointment. So even if you had lengthy appointments, you could stick other appointments in them with processing time, but what if you wanted to stick an appointment in where there is no processing time? What if I wanted to stick a 15-minute appointment in the middle of Debbie Doria's appointment here for 30 minutes?
Right.
I can do that too. I'm going to go pull up another customer. We'll go with Claudia here, and I'm going to book that at 10:15. Now, Christian's got an appointment for a half hour with Debbie Doria, but I'm going to say at 10:15, he's also got an appointment with Claudia Fabiano. I was able to book that, but notice the way it steps it. Not only does it give it its own unique color, which is what we call a conflict color. So you'll get to know your conflict color really well. But there's Debbie Doria for a 30-minute appointment, so you can see by the side here. And there's Claudia Fabiano for a 15-minute appointment inside of that appointment. And it steps. Notice this one didn't step because there's open time there. But this one doesn't have open time, so it steps. If I right-click on these, I can see them both. So I can go to Debbie's information, or I can go to Claudia's information.
Okay.
Right-click on them, right-click on Debbie, right-click on Claudia. When I right-click on Debbie, I'm only looking at Debbie's. But when I right-click on Claudia, I can choose from Debbie or Claudia. Why? Because Debbie's occupying the whole time, and Claudia's only occupying this. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so you can, in fact, without setting up 15-minute appointments, you could have a half hour layered on a half hour. You could have a 1 hour with a half hour booked right in the middle of it. You can do all sorts of things like that. So you can layer appointments on top of other appointments. But but at least this way, at least this way, when you're actually giving it real time, you know that somebody that's going to be spending an hour and a half on somebody, whether they're doing extensions or well, that could be 3 or 4 or 5 hours. But let's just say that somebody's doing extensions or somebody's doing a color. If they're only booked for 15 minutes, it makes it much more difficult to really optimize their time. Now, you can, of course, stick additional appointments inside. So you can have that flexibility. I'm not entirely sure how well it works the way you've described it, but if that works for you, then you can do it that way. It's totally up to you. Any
I
questions?
just want to have the freedom of putting appointments basically where I want it. Like if I want to try at 10 and 10:30, so that's
even if you have full time set for them, half hour, hour and a half, etc., you can still stick appointments wherever you want them. So yes, you can. You'll just have that conflict color, and you will see the step. Now, the next thing is rescheduling. So Kim here says, you know what? I can't come in at 10 o'clock. Can I come in at 11? Okay, sure. Reschedule. So I check this box that says reschedule, and I go to her appointment, and I left click so I can hold it down, and I can bring it to 11 o'clock and release. There it is. Now it's booked for 11 o'clock. Left click, bring it up to 9 o'clock and release. Left click, bring it down to 2 o'clock and release. Really simple. Now, what if she says, you know what, I can't make it today. Can't make it today. All right. what time does Debbie have available this week? Well, I can go to Debbie's name, right-click, and go to Debbie's week view. This no longer is showing me today's schedule. It's showing me just Debbie's schedule for today plus the next 2 weeks. And I check reschedule, and I grab her appointment, and I move it for Wednesday at 12 o'clock, or I move it to Saturday, October 24th at 9 o'clock, or I move it to 1 o'clock Tuesday, October 27th, or bring it back to 10 o'clock today. Really easy. Just remember to check that reschedule, and then you can left-click, hold it down, bring it to Wednesday, October 28th at 12 noon, and release. Grab, release, grab, release. Really simple. Okay? Any questions on rescheduling?
No.
All right. Okay, so we have talked about booking standard appointments, and we have talked about rescheduling standard appointments. Unbooking an appointment is as simple as this. I'm going to go to Claudia, right-click, and I'm going to go to unbook. Unbook. Are you sure you want to unbook this appointment? Yes, she's gone. What if the customer has multiple appointments that day and they need to unbook them all? They might not have to. They might have an appointment that starts at 11 and another one that starts at 1 and another one that starts at 3, and they say, you know what, I can't come in until 3, so I can make my 3 o'clock appointment, but my first 2 I can't make. Okay, so maybe you unbook those 2, but you don't unbook the 3 o'clock one. If you do that, then you're going to unbook them one at a time by going right-clicking and go to unbook. But if she says, I can't make it today, and she's got 3 appointments booked for today, and she doesn't know when she can book them in the future, and so I just need to unbook them, I just right-click, and I go to unbook all this day. Now, this is the thing. A lot of people get scared of that. They think they're going to unbook every appointment on today's appointment book. They're not. They're just unbooking every appointment that that customer has on that day. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, booking, unbooking, and rescheduling. Any questions on that?
No. I still have a question on appointments, though, but
go ahead.
I wanted to know, what if someone has a standing appointment that they come like every week at the same time or every 2 weeks at the same time?
Okay.
All
right.
Now,
we cover standing appointments in our advanced class. This is a beginner's class, but you know what?
Okay,
That's okay. That's okay. There's just the 2 of you here, and we're getting through this pretty quick because we were able to skip a couple of things with spas. So let's go ahead and very quickly show you a standing appointment. You never know. Debbie might want to see it too. So I'm going to go to standing appointments, and that brings up my standing appointment window. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up my customer. Okay, and I'm going to say that Sarah Kazmarek here wants to see, well, we'll say Latasha. There we go. And she wants to see Latasha for, notice, only the Dorias are here, because those are the only things Tasha can do. In other words, every service that will show here are the services that that person can do. So you might have a lot, you may have few. And I'm going to say Doria 90 is what she wants. And she asked for Latasha, so she's a request. Just like when I'm booking a regular appointment, I still have to choose those things. Now, when does she want to come in? I'm going to say she wants to come in every Wednesday. So we're going to start with Wednesday, October 21st. Okay? And when does she want to come in? I'm going to say she wants to come in at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. How often does she want to come in? Every day starting Wednesday? Every other day starting Wednesday? No, I'm going to say every 3 weeks. That's when she's going to come in for that service. You know what, let's do it every 2 weeks, just for the heck of it. Every 2 weeks, starting at 10 a.m. on Wednesday the 21st. That's when it's going to start.
Right.
How many times is she going to come? Well, she might come 8 times. She might come 25 times. She might come 252 times. 256. Now, understand, this is every 2 weeks. If I did 256, that's going to book this out for about 10 years.
Right.
Now, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say 10 appointments, okay? And I'm going to say show. And it's going to show me every appointment. Wednesday the 21st at 10 o'clock with Latasha. That's okay. Wednesday, November 4th at 10 o'clock with Latasha. That's okay. Notice they all say okay. What if on Wednesday, December 30th, Latasha was on her Christmas vacation?
Right.
And she doesn't come back until January 2nd. then this one wouldn't say okay. They'd all say okay, but that one wouldn't. That one would have a couple of X's. And that would tell you that these are all okay to book, but that one isn't. Now, you can do a couple of things with that. You can just go ahead and say, okay, book, and let the customer know they're all good, but on Wednesday, December 30th, don't come in because Latasha won't be here. You could do that. You could also say, you know what, on that day, click, we have to go with somebody else because Latasha's not working that day. The X's would be there, and Latasha's name would not be there because there would be X's. Now, in this case, she does because okay is there. So I'm going to say on that day, Kathy's going to do it, okay, at 10 o'clock. So now I've got an alternate time. So on December 30th at 10 a.m., alternate, Kathy. So all of these are with Latasha, but on that day, Kathy's taking over for Latasha because Latasha's on vacation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I made it right then.
Now also, you might say, okay, well, we're going to book 10 appointments here, but Matt, actually, she comes in every single 2 weeks, and she's been doing it for years. But I don't want to book 256 appointments out, 10 years out, or even 2 years out, or whatever. But I want it to be forever. I want it to be forever. But I don't want to have to, when I look at her appointments, I just want to see 10 at a time. I don't want to see 300 appointments. So what do? I can check this box that says auto standing. This is the way it works. If I don't check that, she will be booked for 10 appointments. And that's it. When her 10th appointment is done, that's done. You can book another set for her. But if I hit auto standing, every time she uses one of these appointments, it will add another appointment to the end. So she's always 10 appointments out forever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what auto standing is. So you check that, and she will always be 10 appointments out. Every time you use one, it'll add another one to the end. If you do not check that, then the 10 that I booked for her are the 10 she's going to get. So now I can go ahead and say book. Appointments have been booked. Okay, done. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's go to the 21st. Here we are on the 21st, and look, let's go to our group. Let's go to Doria. Where's my, there we go. And look, there's Sarah Kazmarek with Latasha for a Doria 90 at 10 o'clock. Let's go forward 2 more weeks plus 2 days. There's Latasha on November 4th with Sarah Kazmarek for a Doria 90. Let's go forward 4 weeks plus 2 days. There's Latasha again. There's Sarah Kazmarek for a Doria 90, etc. If I went to December 30th, let's do it. Let's go to December 30th. There's Sarah is with Kathy at 10 o'clock, not with Latasha. So you see, it did it for you. It booked all of those appointments out. That's standing appointments. Any questions on that before we continue?
No, that's great.
Okay, now any standing appointment is going to be pink. So that you know, just by looking at your screen, you'll know that it's a standing appointment. Okay? All right. Moving on. So we've talked about booking standard appointments. We've talked about unbooking standard appointments. We've talked about rescheduling appointments, and we actually added standing appointments in there as well. There's a lot of other things to this appointment book. There's booking multiple services simultaneously. There's the waiting list. There's things like that. That all gets taught in the advanced class. This is the beginner's class, so we're about now to go to our point of sale. Do you have any questions that you need me to answer on the appointment book before we move to the point of sale?
I think I'm pretty good with it.
All right, let's do it. So point of sale. Well, a lot of times people do this. They get out of their appointment book, and they go to sales, and then they click this button here, which shows them everybody who's got an appointment booked today is going to be listed here. And they're going to be booked either in alphabetical order, which I'm not, or in order of checkout, which I am. You choose, by the way, when you can do that under preferences, whether it's in alphabetical order or in order of checkout. So it's a pretty easy way to find somebody. So I can go to Kim Raber here, and look, it'll fill in for me. Kim saw Debbie for a Doria 2.5. She owes me $200. I'm going to clear that. I'm going to exit out of that. Just get out of it altogether. And I'm going to go back to my appointment book. This is another thing I could do. I could right-click on Kim's appointment, and I can go to checkout, and it will automatically open up the point of sale with her ticket already filled in for me. So I can get to the point of sale right from the appointment book without having to exit my appointment book. It's up to you how you want to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, now just because Kim came in and saw and had an appointment for a Doria 2.5 with Debbie, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing she got while she was there. She might have been upsold while she was there, but you didn't book an appointment for her upsell. That's fine. If that's the case, we go to services, and we can say that while she was there, she also saw Kathy and got acrylic fills. I can hit more and choose somebody else and put in another one. Or if that's it, I can just hit last. So Kim saw Debbie for a Doria 2.5, which was on the appointment book, and she also got upsold and saw Kathy and got acrylic fills for $45. So now she owes me $245. Now she wants to buy product. If I'm using a barcode scanner, I can just scan my product. If I'm not using a barcode scanner, I can look it up. I can click on retail, and I can do a search. I want to find my Justin All-in-One shampoo. So I'm going to put in Justin, perhaps. And I can put in as much or a little as I want, but everything that has that in its name is going to appear. Ah, there's my Justin All-in-One shampoo. Okie doke. It's $20.85. And who sold it? Ariel sold it. And last. So now Kim saw Debbie for a 2.5. Kim saw Kathy for an acrylic fills. Kim was sold by Ariel the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $20.85, puts in my local tax, and I am ready to process this sale, or maybe not, because maybe Kim would like to give us a gratuity, a tip. I go to gratuity, and I can put in a dollar amount for Kathy, and then I can use my drop down and I can put in a dollar amount for Debbie. I can do that, but I can also apply a percentage. Maybe she wants to put 15% on her card. If I do that, it will distribute it and it will do the math for me. So Debbie got a gratuity for $30. Kathy got a gratuity for $6.75. Now I'm ready to process my payment. So I go to payment. So here's my full ticket. I go to payment, and I can accept payment in cash. Everyone knows what cash is. I don't need to explain it to you. Or check. I can put in a check number here, and I can change the amount tendered. By the way, you can change the amount tendered under cash, too. Because it's $304.63, she might give me $320. It's going to make my change for me. So I would put in $320. Check. Put in my check number. Credit card. If I am processing credit cards directly through the software, it's going to look just like this. I would click this button, and I would swipe the card. Great. If I am not processing credit cards directly through the software, if I'm using a separate terminal, then I want to do this and choose what card they used and swipe it on the terminal. Make sure it gets authorized, and once it's authorized, then I can accept this. That way my reporting is accurate. Because if you're processing directly through the software, you don't have to worry about this. Your reporting is going to be accurate. But if you're not, if you're using a separate terminal, wait for that to get authorized, then accept this. That way the system knows that you took a card, that it was a MasterCard, they paid this much, whatever. Gift certificate or gift card. You can type in a gift certificate number or swipe a card here to accept their payment. If you sold the gift certificate or the gift card through the software. If you did not sell the gift certificate or gift card through the software, you cannot accept the gift card or gift certificate through the software. So just remember that. And if you need to learn more about gift certificates and gift cards, feel free to book some time with me. Absolutely happy to do that. Series. What is a series? Let's say that Debbie comes into my business every 2 weeks to get a European facial, let's just say. And she's been doing that for years. And let's also pretend that they're $50 each. And maybe I'm having a little bit of a cash flow problem. So I say to Debbie, hey, Debbie, buy 5 of them at one time. And instead of paying me $250, I'm only going to charge you $200. So basically, I'm giving her one for free if she pays me. So that's a series. You have to create those series so that you can sell them. If you have sold her a series, then it will be listed here. So then I could use that series in the future as a method of payment because she's already prepaid for that service. That's what a series is, and you can learn all about that in the advanced class. On account. On account is not often used, but it can be. On account lets your customer have a debit with you. They owe you money. So Kim is a dear and close friend of Debbie's, a dear and close friend of yours, Debbie's. And she walks up to the front desk and opens up her purse and says, oh my gosh, Debbie, I'm so sorry, but I left my credit card next to my computer at home last night when I was online shopping. And you say, don't worry about it. pay me tomorrow, or pay me next week, or pay me whatever. Maybe she's your sister. Maybe you go to her kids' birthday parties and they go to yours. You know her well enough that you allow her to have a debit with you, so you go to on account and accept it. The reason you do that is because it will then put in the software that Kim Raber owes the salon $304.63, but your staff member who did the service or services will still, in their history, show exactly what they did and on what day, so that they can get credit for it and still get their commission, etc. That's on account. I don't suppose that either one of you are inside of a hotel or resort?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to skip that. Traveler's checks works the same way as personal checks. You choose traveler's checks and you put the check number in. The only difference is at the closing report, it will differentiate between your personal checks and your traveler's checks. Other than that, they are used precisely the same way. Other allows you to create your own methods of payment, whether it be Groupon or trade. The most common one I've seen is trade or barter. That way your electrician comes in and does your wiring, and you give him you say, you know what, you do my wiring, and I'm going to give your wife a cut and color and a perm and a Brazilian blowout and whatever else, okay? So then I could do something like this, barter, because you get to create your own, so they'll be all listed there, the ones you want. And I could then say electrician's wife. So now I've got a reference on it, and it's barter. So instead of actually taking the $304.63 in, I'm doing it in trade. This way my staff still gets credit for it, they can still get their commission on it, but I didn't actually bring the money in. And then finally, rewards. Rewards are like airline miles. We talk about rewards in more detail in the advanced class, but rewards, just so you know, for our purposes here, they're like airline miles. You get to assign points to your services and products and even referrals, and your customer can then use those points to get discounts or freebies in your salon. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. And just go back to cash here. Say she gave me $320 and accept. And it makes my change, $15.35, and accept. Change is due. My drawer pops. My receipt prints. And I give her her $15.37. I'm done. Ask client if they'd like to book their next appointment. In this case, I'm just going to say no. Let's take a look. Let's go into Ms. Raber's client file and take a look at her history. And there we go. On October 19th, she saw Debbie and got a Doria 2.5. On October 19th, she saw Kathy and got an acrylic fills. Down here on October 19th, in my product history, Ariel sold her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. If I click on any of these and I view the transaction, I can see everything that was done on that transaction, including that she paid me with cash and got $15.37 back. It might have said credit card that she paid with. Okay? So that information is there. If a mistake was made, you can modify the transaction as well, which we talk about in the advanced class. So you can fix modified transactions. I mean, you can fix transactions by modifying them. So if it wasn't Kathy who did it, who did the acrylic fills, it was somebody else, I can change that. But like I said, you learn about that in the advanced class. Okay. Any questions on the point of sale?
No.
I don't have any.
Okay. All right, easy enough. A couple of things I want you to note about the point of sale that you can learn in other classes. Your customer can have a receipt printed out for them every time they do a transaction with you. They can also, though, have their receipt emailed to them automatically instead of printed. So you ask your customers to help you go green, and the system will automatically email your customer their receipt. You learn about that in the Darcy marketing class because all email functions are part of Darcy. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Can you believe we've been on the phone for 55 minutes?
No.
Believe how fast it goes? I know. It just shoots by, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes left in our class, and we actually have an opportunity to talk about inventory. So I'm going to rush us through inventory, but I want to show you something again. Because I'm rushing us through, I want you to see on our website, there's a video that says setting up inventory. So you can watch this, and it's going to teach you the same thing. These videos that we have gone over today went over this, adding operators, rooms, and equipment, but in your case, we just added operators, setting up groups and services, and we also did point of sale, processing sales. Here's emailing clients if you need to know how to do that. And then, of course, this one here, setting up inventory for retail. So you can, in fact, go back and get a refresher because I'm about to race us through this. So let's race. Okay. Inventory. In order to set up a product like this product here that I have, my Justin All-in-One Shampoo. Here's my Justin All-in-One Shampoo, and you see all this information in here. In order to do that, I can't do that if I don't have vendors, manufacturers, and categories. I must have those first before I can create products. So how do I do that? I go to this inventory button, and I go to my indexes. Inventory indexes. And here's my vendors, my manufacturers, and my categories. So vendors, add, modify. Click. And here's this little inventory index window. And I can create a brand new vendor. I'm going to create a vendor called LT, and the name of the vendor is going to be Latasha Beauty. Okay? This is, now the vendor code can be anything you want it to be, but it needs to make sense to you. I've seen people that put in 01 Sally's Beauty, 02 Rusk Beauty, something like that. Okay, well that's fine, but when you're looking at a report and it says 01 and you're like, I've done trainings before where people say, I don't know what 01 means. And I said, well, that's what you named your vendor. So that doesn't help. If the report has space to give you the full name, it'll say Latasha Beauty, great. But if it doesn't have space to give you the full name, it'll say LT in this case. So if it said 01, you may not have any idea who that vendor is. So I definitely recommend that whatever codes you use, you make sure that they make sense to you. So I put in LT for my code, Latasha Beauty, and save, done. So I've got a whole bunch of vendors in here. And you'll notice that I've got like Karen Cox here, KC. I've got Lynn Michaels Beauty, LM. I've got Nailtiques, NT. They all make sense to me. Okay, that's my vendors. But you saw how easy it was. I just put in a code, put in a name, and press save. I've created a vendor. So I enter all of my vendors. Once I have finished entering all of my vendors, I go to inventory, indexes, manufacturer, add, modify. And now I put in all of my manufacturers. So I've got a whole bunch of them in here, but notice it's exactly the same. CA Cameo. Let's put in a brand new one. I'm going to say JD, and the name is going to be John Doria Supplies, and save. So brand new manufacturer in there. Manufacturers and vendors can be the same. I could have put in LT Latasha for a manufacturer as well, because maybe I buy my products from the same people who make them, but not necessarily. I mean, you can buy Paul Mitchell at Sally's Beauty. Paul Mitchell would be the manufacturer. Sally's Beauty would be the vendor. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now I'm going to go to inventory, and I'm going to go to indexes, and I'm going to go to categories, add or modify. So once again, same thing. I get to put in a code, put in a name, and hit save. It's so simple. But now your category is going to be something different, like shampoo. You might sell 5 different shampoos or 10 different shampoos. So shampoo would be a good category. If you've only got one shampoo, it's probably not a good category. If you've got one shampoo and one conditioner, then maybe you want hair care as your category. And the shampoos and the conditioners could both fall under there. But if you've got 10 or 15 different shampoos and 10 or 15 different conditioners, then shampoo would be a great category, and conditioner could be its own category. So maybe SH for my code and shampoo for my category. Maybe CO for my code and conditioner for my category. Maybe SC for skincare as my category, whatever it is. Okay? GE for gels, CR for creams, if you've got a whole bunch of different ones, because your products, once you enter them, are going to need to be chosen vendor, manufacturer, and category. So now that we have created all of our indexes, we get to go in and add our product. So the first thing we do is we hit new SKU, and it will give us the next SKU number in line, the next SKU number in order. The very first SKU number you're going to do is going to be number 1, then number 2, then number 3, etc. Every time you add a product, it's going to put it the next in line. Now, I just said 1, 2, and 3, but when you first do it, you're going to see 10, 20, and 30, and you're going to say, what the heck? Well, what happened to my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Why is it 10? It's not 10. It's actually 10. The 0 is a placeholder. This number is not 29,900. It is 2,990, 0. The last 0 is a placeholder because you can have up to 9 different vendors on a single product. So if my product was number 1, it would be 10, that's my product, but 11 would be product 1 from vendor 1. 12 would be product 1 from vendor 2, etc., which is why your first product is going to look like it says 10, it's 10. Your second product is going to look like it says 20, it's 20. Does that make sense?
Right, okay.
Okay, so now that I've got my new SKU in there, I'm going to go to retail, and I'm going to say what it is. And I'm going to say that this is my PM dry wash, 20 ounce. So I give it my name, my product description. And I'm going to say that my manufacturer is Paul Mitchell. And I'm going to say that my category is conditioner. Now, if I'm using a barcode scanner, I would go to my UPC code and I would scan my barcode that's on that product right into this field. If I'm not, I can skip it. I put in my minimums and my maximums. My minimum is the fewest amount of this product I want to have ever, like my shelf presence. Maybe that's 3. And then my maximum, the most of this product I would ever buy from my vendor, whoever that is. And I'm going to say that my maximum is going to be 12. So my minimum's 3, my maximum's 12. List price. This is my manufactured suggested retail price. I don't have to use it. But if I'm going to print out my own labels, it's a nice little thing to have so that your customer can see what the manufacturer recommends, but then your price is next to it so that they can see they're getting a little discount because it'll have a little line through it. But if you're not using your own labels, you don't need it at all, and you're just going to put in your sell price. And I'm going to say that I sell this for $26. That's my sell price. I am now done with this top group. The rest of it you'll learn in other classes like online retail when you're selling this product online, or the buy again, which you'll learn in the Darcy marketing class. But for our purposes right now, this is all you need for the top. But now we've got to go down to our bottom and choose our vendor. Who sells us the Paul Mitchell dry wash? I'm going to say that Hearst Beauty sells us the Paul Mitchell dry wash. So I've got my, oops, I went to choose Hearst Beauty and I chose Karen Cox. There we go, Hearst Beauty. So I chose Hearst Beauty here. That's my vendor. Now, how much do I buy it for? Well, because 100% markup is usually the norm, $26 is what I sell it for, so I'm going to say that I actually pay $13 to Hearst Beauty for this product. Best price, what does that mean? If Hearst Beauty, my vendor, says when you buy 3 of these, 4 of these, 10 of these, they're $13 each. But when you buy 25 of them or more, they're $10 each. You can only get that information from your vendor, and your vendor may not do things like that. So you can just leave these 0. No problem. They'll just be blanked if they're 0. But I'm going to say, no, my best price is $10 if I buy 25 or more. So when I do a purchase order, if I buy 24 or less, they're going to be $13 each. If I buy 25 or more, my purchase order will automatically change itself to show $10 as the price. That's my best price and my best quantity. Lastly, I get to order in quantities of what? If I put the number 1 in here, I can order this in any amount I want, or even a 0. That will allow me to order in any amount I want, because you can put any number in then on your purchase order. Order 4 of them, order 12 of them, order 5, 7, 8, 28. It doesn't matter. Any number you want, you can order if that is a 1 or a 0. However, if I put a 3 in there, I could only order 3 or 6 or 9 or 12. If I put a 5 in there, I could only order 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. See how that works? Mm-hmm. So that's up to your vendor. If your vendor says, hey, when you buy these, they're bought in cases of 5. Okay. So then my order in quantities of 5. That's the minimum. And if I order them in quantities of 5, it's going to duplicate my 13 times 5. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if your vendor has their own unique order number, you get to put in your vendor order number here that will appear on the purchase order. If they don't, you can skip it. Last ordered and on PO number, you don't need to ever worry about these, because when you create a purchase order, it will put the date in there for you that you created the PO for this product. On PO number, it will put that purchase order number in for that product that you did that you created on that day. So those fill themselves in. Finally, we come down here to beginning quantity. This is the number you want to mess with. the first one here. This is the only time you're going to mess with it. You're going to do your physical count. You're going to say, how many Paul Mitchell Dry Wash 20 ounces do I actually have? I did my count. I've got 9 of them. 9. Enter. So my beginning quantity is 9. My ending quantity is 9. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's save this. And let's sell it. So somebody comes in, Jim Fabiani comes in, and he wants to buy a product. He's going to buy product 29900, and it's going to be sold to him by Jana. Invalid product number 299. Oh, that's right, because I'm not doing the, I'm doing it with barcodes. Hang on, because I said I wanted it with barcodes, so can't do that. Going to go to setup. Oh, not setup. Going to go to inventory and look up that product 29900. Whoops, not 3900. And I'm going to put that number right here into my UPC code 29900 and save. There we go. Now we can go to sales. Now I'm pretending that I'm scanning a barcode. And look, there's my PM Dry Wash 20 ounce sold by Joshua. Let's clear that. Say that somebody comes in like Jim Fabiani. Scan my product. Say that Debbie sold it, and Jim Fabiani was sold by Debbie. The Paul Mitchell Dry Wash 20 ounce, $26, puts in my local tax, ready to go. Now let's do it. Let's accept payment. Cash, accept, done. Well, let's take a look now. Let's go into our inventory, pull up that product. And look, my beginning quantity was 9, my sold is 1, my ending quantity is now 8. It's keeping track of everything for me. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Now, notice this one says received. When I do a purchase order and it goes out, then I'm going to have the number that I'm waiting for. But then when the boxes come in, the boxes actually come in and I accept that order, then maybe I ordered 10 of these. The received would then be 10, and my ending quantity would now be 18.
Mm-hmm.
My beginning quantity would still be 9. My received would be 10. My sold would be -1. My ending quantity on hand would be 18. If Jim comes back and says, I screwed up. This is not what my wife wanted me to buy. I got to give it back. Okay, going to give it back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a refund of that same product. And I say that Debbie's commission is going to get tagged. So I'm going to refund this product. And maybe while he was there, because I can do refunds and sales on the same thing, maybe while he was there, he also got a service. So now he owes me $146.46 because it was a $175 service, but he's returning a $26 product and getting his tax back. We'll just go ahead and accept that real quick. Do you want product number 29900, Paul Mitchell Dry Wash 20 ounce, to be returned to stock? Well, if he opened it, no, I'm going to throw it away. If he didn't open it, still in the box and everything, hey, this is the wrong thing. My wife told me I got the wrong thing. Okay, I'm going to return it to my stock. Let's take a look. Let's go back to our inventory. And let's look up that product again. Ending quantity, sold 1, returned 1, ending quantity is 9. See how they adjust themselves?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. That's the class. Do you have any questions for me at all before I let you go?
No, I pretty much got that.
That's the beginner's class. Don't forget to sign up for other classes that you may be interested in, like our online class for retail appointments and gift certificate sales online, or our Darcy marketing class, or even our advanced class, which goes over things that people are usually not familiar with.
So the advanced class will give you inventory on your products you use within the salon?
You mean professional?
Yes.
No, we don't actually usually go over inventory in the advanced class, so feel free, if you're in the advanced class and we've got time, you can certainly ask that question, or you could just set up more training time with someone like me, one-on-one, and we can go, and you could just book like 15 minutes of my time for that, and we could go over that.
Okay.
To book my time, you can go to, call the 800 number and go to extension 128. Her name is Maureen, and you can tell her that you need to learn about professional use inventory, and she'll book she'll book that with me. Or you just tell her with Matt if you want with me.
Okay.
And she'll book it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys, you have a great day.
What about the recording? You going to send us the recording?
Oh, that's right, the recording. I forgot we were recording this whole time. Okay, so I'm going to